Welcome to The Syndicate, a film and TV podcast. Be a part of the conversation as industry insiders, genre lovers, and cinephiles dare to peek beyond the curtains of imagination and dive into the art of cinema. Join us as we want you to spend less time scrolling and more time watching. Now here's your host, Armand Haddad.
Hello, and welcome to Syndicate. I am your host, Armand Haddad, and welcome to episode 2. This season, we are exploring the hidden gems of films, or films you probably passed over watching. Joining me in the studio today is Simone Salas. Simone,
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
You probably know Simone from his career from The Second City, or his voice acting talents from Mobile Suit Gundam and Hot Tub Time Machine. Or from his current project, 2343.
Yeah, that's what I did in life. I did the Italian voice acting for... I can add weirder stuff if you want. Neon Genesis Evangelion or The Hills, a show that was aired on MTV Italy, and I did waiter. That's a
Waiter.
role. Yeah, stuff like that. You know, I was the guy that like had a cough and then died, and it's just like...
Hey, you're still an actor in my book. So tell me more about 2343.org.
Okay. I was for almost a decade I worked in TV and radio in Europe back in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And most of it was political satire.
Okay.
And sometimes you gotta stay on the news and make jokes for something that happens 24 hours before, and any later than that stuff dies.
Yep.
And I just wanted to have real conversations, not driven by having views or clicks or those kind of things. So that's what I do. It's if you're tired to listen to something that exists mostly for promotional reasons, nothing against that, but there are plenty of podcasts that you can find a good discount code for an okay toothbrush or a mattress or or get many stamps from stamps dot something. You can listen to that, but I have a few guests from Pixar, from The Second City, from Google, just also regular people, plenty of people from the improv and comedy, somebody from SNL. We just chat about what matters in life, what matters to you, what matters to me, and it's an honest chat about expectations, fears, stuff like that.
I think that's what people really want, is just long formats, genuine conversations, and not sound bites.
We can get into the discussion at some point, but I don't know. It's very hard to find people, including myself, that content is like very short and stampy. Like it's usually clips, so it's hard to focus on an intimate chat for 50 minutes of your day, of your time on a commute or something. I don't know.
That's true. And I guess it depends on like the subject matter, which, I heard a few of your podcast shows on 2343, and they are quite interesting and pique my hobbies and what I care about.
Yes, listen to it.
Yes.
Listen to it.
And that's at 2343.org.
Yes, I just wanted to pick a weird number. 2343.org.
Yeah. So, and it says on your site, it's going to be 44 years of content you're going to be producing. That's a long time.
Well, that was the thing. The original idea was, I want a project that I just commit to it. It doesn't end. Something, usually, just doing something for the dedication of doing it and the constants of doing it. So, yeah, if I publish one interview every week from today, I will probably be done in 45 years until I reach 2,343 conversations. So, I don't know. If you make it my full-time job, I'll do it every day.
Yeah.
It'll be much faster.
It will be. And you have to change the name.
Yeah, when I reach the end, it's like, well, okay, let's call it 4,686 double.
The number keeps on going up. But if you want to hear Simone and his conversations, please head over to 2343.org. And now to the main subject of today, the Truman Show. So, I don't know about you, but I watched the Truman Show when I was a really young kid when it came out in 1998. So, what was your first impressions, like when you saw the Truman Show for the first time?
I was a little bit, I actually remember being fearful of it.
Really?
From the trailer, a little bit. Because the first time I remember seeing the trailer when I was like 12 or so. And then, and just this idea of this man being on television all the time, the Big Brother was still not even a thing as a reality show or as a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So it just gave me an idea of something bigger and greater than I was so much on not just like the world, but this constructed world. It's like if I saw a gigantic computer for some reason.
Right.
That is the picture I have in mind, like a gigantic organized thing in the trailer. I remember just fear. And my first experience was in high school with it. I had one of the high school teachers, professors in Italy. They had us watch it, and I was really, really happy. I was also lucky. They made us watch a lot of good movies.
Was this like a film school, or was this just a normal class?
I went to... It was... My literature professor just decided that cinematography can be, an art as much as painting and other classical arts.
Oh, yeah.
And he and another professor decided, like, we're going to take some time every week to watch a movie, and I'm going to have some movie critiques and directors, and we're going to dissect them, and we're going to talk about them. So we ended up watching most of Hitchcock, most of Chaplin, most of Kubrick in high school.
Wow.
And some stuff here and there. There was from Woody Allen, for example, The Purple Rose of Cairo, or The Truman Show, which at the time wasn't that old. But one of the two liked it, and so we watched it, and I was really glad it stayed with me.
Yeah, and there's a lot to dissect with this movie, like with the themes and so many allegory that it paints. But before we get into that, I want to do what we love to do at Syndicate, which is a 60-second elevator pitch.
Oh boy. Okay.
Please stand clear of the closing.
So the main point of this show is to convince people why they should watch this movie. And quite frankly, like, this happens to me almost every day when I'm scrolling through Netflix and I can't find anything to watch, or there's just too many options, then I end up not watching anything. Or I spend the amount of time watching a movie scrolling through, these streaming services. So I hate it. Don't you hate it too?
Yeah, it happens with any streaming app, just the existential void and the thumb keeps scrolling on the remote.
Yeah, and you're never satisfied. So the whole point is, when you're like sitting at the water cooler or your desk at work and you're trying to convince your coworker, hey, you should watch this movie. Well, what's it about?
Okay, should I go?
So you are going to have 60 seconds to give me an overview of the plot without major spoilers. And are you ready?
Okay, I guess, yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, if you like well-composed movies, like classic and very linear and easy to understand as a language, as a cinematographic language, and at the same time you like a hero's journey, an ordinary hero's journey, you should watch it. It is funny and serious at the same time because it's a satire about society, about what we do, about this common character, Truman, against a deus ex machina, Christoph, if you want to.
30 seconds.
And, if you like self-liberation movies, like The Matrix, for example, and well-shot movies, and you want to see how Jim Carrey went insane from living in color and making farts and sketches to an existential nihilist, watch The Truman Show. It's a great, funny, terrible, tragic movie.
Wow, with 10 seconds to spare. Wow, that's a new record. Yeah, you did a good job.
Thank you. I earned a good grade.
Yes, A+. So now let's get into pretty much the central theme of the movie.
Okay.
So right in the first act, we notice that we have a main character. His name is Truman.
Sure.
And it's directed by a man named Christoph. We don't know his last name.
All right.
It's just his first name.
I mean, we don't need it, right?
But do we need it?
No,
like,
it's
think
Christ.
about it. Like, yes, exactly. He is the Christ
He's the
figure.
Christ, Christoph. Yeah. And Truman is true man, right?
Damn. Okay. Straight for it. So okay.
This is just me saying random things that I observe, but okay.
Yeah,
it might not be true at all. Like, you go to Jim Carrey, he goes like, no, that's not true.
So Christoph, like, other than being a pretentious director, having only one name, not a last name, like, he is, if you dissect his name, Christ. So he is like the god of this world, and like many directors, they're all a little bit gods because they're formatting their own world the way they see it. It's like, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, the setting is this. So Christoph takes it to the nth degree, which is creating his literal own world.
Yeah.
And by pretty much tricking a single man into believing that's his reality.
Right.
And that's very scary and very thought-provoking at the same time.
So I think that can be approached from multiple sides, but two that interest me particularly is one, besides Christoph Roll and what he thinks of himself, arrogant or not, is creating a world that looks like a utopia. It looks like a fascist utopia.
Oh, yeah.
All of it. So that is the kind of world. There's this perfect plastic utopia. And not just the world is of plastic, but people and relationships are.
Mm.
And so that is one side of the thing. And the other one is Truman's role in it. In this, Truman is owned by a corporation, is adopted by a corporation.
Yeah.
And corporations in our society are granted a legal person status.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing they can't do is adopt a human being. They can adopt other corporations. That's called like a subsidiary, like or a holding.
Yeah.
But they can't adopt a human being.
Yeah.
So in this case, this world is crafted for profit by a corporation using a human being. And Christoph is also kind of a just part of the mechanism that is moving there. He's not even the ultimate motor. Is not the ultimate engine of this mechanism. But yes, it's this crafted world. How does it influence Truman? What I asked to myself is like, if I were born in something like that, I don't know. If I were born in something like that, how much can you notice the signals that show that you are immersed in that world? Because we have constant stuff like that. Truman lives in this reality show since he's born until allegedly he dies or else. And he's born with commercial product placement around him that viewers see. So if Truman uses a cup or a brand of cereals, awkwardly there will be his wife or friend that goes like, this is what I call beer. And it's just like, but true, that is normal to him, because if you grew up with that, you do not pick up on those signals, at least not early on.
Exactly.
Eventually he starts, right?
Yeah.
And that drives him to insanity. He always knew, that level of fakeness was there in this pre-made utopia.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of hints that he notices throughout the entire movie. And then the first one, which comes in, I guess, within the first 10 minutes, is a light falling down from the sky.
Yes,
and
they say that a plane or a plane dropped something. But it's just a stage light.
Yeah, like those breaks in reality. Like, I don't know what I would do. The show has been running for 10,000 days, 10,910 days, which amounts to 30 years. So this man has been in a false reality his entire life for 3 decades. And then he starts seeing at the very end of 30 years, like a light falls from the sky. Or he's driving and someone's describing every single move that he's making. He's going down this street.
Right, in the car, instead of like Sirius XM, he has, whatever.
Yeah.
He has this stage guy.
So yeah, he sees those cracks in reality and like, or the actors break character. It's like, yeah, I would be driven to insanity. It's like, this is my world, and then I see behind the curtain.
But you call this, I think this is very important, you call this a fake reality, a fake world.
Yeah.
It is not to him.
That's true.
So that is the conundrum, right? It's like when I earlier said, like, I'm dearly attached to the Matrix 2, and I think these are substantially the same plot and the same movie.
Yes.
It is not to him. He's, if you see a deja vu, that is not a weird signal of the world or an interruption of the Matrix. If you see a light falling from the sky and you're like, it's a satellite. Well, I mean, how can you verify that? Even if you fell down now, unless it's like stage 2, which you're used to. You subconsciously might know that things are off, but more because they're off the routine, actually, than because they're in reference to a world that you do not know outside.
That's true. like all his days seemingly seem the same.
Yeah.
And like there's a comfort in just having routine. Like, this is my ritual. I wake up, see my neighbors, tell them good morning, and if I don't see them, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And so then he goes about his day, goes to his work, and then he starts being unhappy with his work. And then all the cast members that he doesn't know are cast members are reassuring him, like, you have a great job. Like, why would you leave this place? Like, oh, it's very scary out there. Like, there's so many subtle hints to keep Truman entrapped in this seaside town.
So, fear is the real cage.
Oh, yeah. Fear is a big theme in this movie.
So, fear is how Christoph controls his life. They staged the death of the father when he was a kid in the sea. So he will be scared of the sea and of leaving this utopia. Yeah.
And you see that very early on where he goes to the dock to, I forget where, he has to go somewhere for work. And he sees the boat that's been submerged. And then that triggers a flashback of when he was a child. And in that particular episode of The Truman Show, they go sailing and his father seemingly drowns. And he's been traumatized of the water ever since. And it's a town that's surrounded by water, so he can't leave.
So fear is the tool that is used over and over and over again, especially with trauma, to control him and keep him within the cage of that reality, again, for profit. But another important theme that contrasts fear, as in every hero's journey, in human life, it's probably love. Because Truman falls in love with this person in high school, this girl. Sylvia, yeah. He falls in love with Sylvia, but Sylvia actually falls in love with Truman Burbank, the human that, she says, instead of I love you, she goes, Truman, I need to tell you something. Everything is a lie. Your life is a lie. And so that is the true gift of love. It's liberation and self-liberation. And so much that these two things battle throughout the movie because everybody intervenes and was like, get her out. Get her off stage. Immediately, she cannot be near Truman. And the actor that was interpreting her father goes like, well, Truman, she's crazy. We're moving forever. Where to? And the actor improvises and goes like, Fiji. The Fiji Islands. And that stays with Truman going like, one day I want to go to Fiji. Like that. So that is the escape love, eventually unplanned, improvised, real in the moment love that happens for the actress portraying Sylvia is the key to Truman's desire to get out of this cage of fear, and he wants to travel to Fiji. But fear holds him because he's scared to travel because his father died on a boat and he would need to take a boat to then get on the plane to Fiji. So, that is intense.
It is intense.
You have this guy outside playing out fabricated fear, trying to constrain the only force that, in this case, in this movie, this is one of the messages, can get you out of this routine, out of this comfort zone, and take a risk that you would never take in life otherwise. Yeah. And that is breaking out of it. Is comfort. Isn't it comfortable to have a routine?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because it's the familiarity.
Yeah. So you trade that. You trade that for this. Why aren't you and I right now, wherever else in the world, or doing anything but a 9-to-5 job?
Exactly.
Because we trade this kind of being adventurous or anything else for not having to fight to get your own food in the wild every day.
Security.
Yeah.
You trade the call to adventure for comfort.
Yes. Or you trade doing nothing.
Right.
You
you can't have both. You can't have an adventure without risk. Like adventures are never easy. They're never, comforting. It's very tough. It's very
why
scary.
can't you?
Why can't you?
Yeah. Who's stopping you?
No one's stopping me. And
so you are stopping you.
Yes.
Is that so?
Me as a person? Yes, I am.
Okay.
Like I would totally for for the hero of film, or even young adults, young men particularly, they all have the desire for that call to adventure. And that could be manifested in many different ways. It could be like, I want to go on a trip to Fiji, or I want to join like a group, or in very bad cases, young men would join like a radicalized group, such as like, terrorism or anything. Okay. Yeah. It's like, it's the call to adventure is, it takes many forms. But with Truman particularly, like initially he's like, I want to go to Fiji. Like he wants to break out of the mundane, the normality, to go to like a faraway land. And you think that is like, he wants to go on that great adventure, but then it's revealed very quickly it's because of Sylvia. He found his love, and he wants, like you said, that liberation in the form of a genuine relationship.
Yeah. And to find that, eventually he has to defy the limits of the cage. And I think I want to take a step back.
Sure.
I'm usually not the gender fighter, but I think that no, but you specify, like, especially, I don't know about that, but as a human being, like genderless, not because there is no gender, but because I think that it can happen if you're alive. You feel that kind of push if you're alive. I don't think you even need to be a human to have that kind of like instinct of discovering and curiosity. Your species do, but eventually you need to break out of your own boundaries, regardless of the place or regardless of what is around you as society. You just have to understand it comes a time when you have to face who you became and the reasons why you became that.
Yep.
And for Truman, that is just growing up within a stage, and that's what destroys him. And it is in a similar way, I think it was Plato's myth of the cave.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Okay.
Yeah. From the Republic, chapter 7.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Republic. Okay. It's just, well, you will correct me if I'm wrong, because you seem to be more ready about this than I am. But if you always lived as a man in a cave and you see the shadows coming from the outside projected on a wall, you are seeing a reflection of reality, but to you, that is reality. And to Truman, that means the characters. The characters around him are not his real friendship, but they are the reflection, the shadow of the real people portraying those characters outside. And he is literally in the cave. And eventually he decides to step out, like pretty much how Plato said that if you step out, you actually gain knowledge of the truth. Which again, in the analogy that I so much love with the Matrix, would be going down the rabbit hole.
Taking the red pill.
Right, which currently has assumed different meanings in subcultures of it, which I am so... Man, that is the one thing that people got off the Matrix. I go like...
The red pill and the blue pill. Yeah.
Such a shame that it was taken up by these weird groups like online. Like that in this macho whatever.
But really think about it. Tangent on the Matrix, since it's thematically the same.
Since I keep pushing it.
So those who use that phrasing, like, I've been red pilled, or take the red pill, wake up from reality. These people live on the internet. Like, no other time period in human history have we been so interconnected subconsciously, like through our minds. Like, like throughout human history, like we've been like, connected through like civilizations or trade or, interpersonal relationships. But like, it's to a point where it's cerebral. Like, we are interacting with people throughout the entire world, like through how they're feeling, what they're thinking. So you can see how the parallels between like the Matrix of like simulation and people breaking out of it and how they're taking the red pill.
I do, but
so you can see why they would use that language of like, I'm gonna take the red pill and get off social media.
That's just connected to shared meme culture. And meme, I use the original meaning as, as a second degree image of an idea. That is also true of physical reality, meat space, if you want. something that also in the metaphorical imagery world of the Truman Show, there are lots of references, not just in the name of biblical characters like Christ or true man, but also in the journey. Truman eventually gets to the border, to the limit of his reality. And he's going to have to face a choice. And he literally, I don't know if you noticed that there is this ending scene which is particularly beautiful to me. He breaks the fourth wall. He breaks his cage with the boat.
I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, it's true. Like when
he
he's
does.
sailing, he hits the wall of the dome and breaks through it.
Yeah, that's breaking the fourth wall. That's breaking through the fourth wall, like with reality. And when he walks out of the boat, off the boat, the water is so shallow that he can walk on water. Yeah,
I noticed that.
So he walks on water literally.
And ascends.
And also this is where the sky and earth, water, meet at the end of the world. And that's also the creation of Christoph, right? So that's a beautiful image. That is this freedom, and I really don't want to spoil the final movements, but I love it. I love so much that the Truman Show ends where Neo goes off to the rabbit hole and wakes up from the Matrix.
Right. Like, we won't really get into like the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
But we can say like we don't know what ends up with Truman. It's definitely
open-ended.
It's very open-ended.
Yeah.
Like there is a doorway and he chooses to cross it, but what happens after, we don't know.
Christoph tries to keep him in there is this public announcement system that has been on the whole movie apparently, but he only uses at the end as the extreme. He fights in his vision. There is this contrast when his girlfriend, Truman's true girlfriend, Sylvia, who was fired from the show, calls in and has a confrontation live in front of the audience with Christoph, the creator of the show, the director, the Steve Jobs of the situation. We're in a minimalistic black turtleneck with like two wireframe glasses.
Yeah.
Being very well posed and knowing exactly what the world needs.
And a beret.
And
a beret.
Yeah, sure.
So stereotypical artist.
Exactly. And during this confrontation, she criticizes Sylvia, goes like, you caged this guy against his will. True.
Mm-hmm.
And Christoph goes like, I did not confine him more than he wants to be confined. He is comfortable. He lives in this cage, and in Christoph's view, the fabricated world is not less real than the outside world. It's probably more fair to Truman than the outside world would be. So much that at the end he goes like, Truman, you literally, there is no more truth out there than there is in the world that I created for you. You belong here. There is this love that Christoph has for his creation. That's how he sees him.
Yeah.
But that is not how the world works, because even if we want to go on with creation myths that are common across different cultures and religions, and I'm not that well versed in being able to speak for all of them, but when the world was created according to this myth, which is no disrespect, I have lots of respect for metaphors of creation. The world is created, but then it's left to both evil and good through the agency of free will.
Yep.
Which is what Christoph is not really giving to Truman.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, Truman is defeating a false god, a selfish god, a control god, if he decides to do so.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense to you, but
no, it totally does. It's a very, I would even say, very Gnostic point of view, where it's Christoph is the lesser god, and he created this ideal world for his creation, and it's kind of like the Garden of Eden, if you will. Like, here's this perfect area, and if you leave, it's going to be wickedness and turmoil outside. Do you want to make that choice?
Did you like Jim Carrey in this movie?
I absolutely loved him in this movie. Like, it's such a stark contrast with his other films, because he's known as, you know, the funny guy. You know, he...
Up to that point.
Yeah, he was in Living
That's when
Color.
he stopped. Like, kind of.
Yeah. Like, that was his first, what do you call it? Dramatic role.
Sure.
And I wish he did more, because, like, after this movie, he went back to, like, doing, you know, comedy movies like Ace Ventura and, you know, the Sonic movie that's going to come out. And I think his back hurts after doing the Sonic movie, because he's really carrying that movie.
Huh. I have not followed the promotional part.
Oh, it looks terrible.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm sure it's trash. Even though I loved Sonic as a kid, but as a video game, Sonic 2, man, it's the best.
It's really weird, because not a lot of, you know, video games don't translate to movies, like, at all.
Oh, you don't think the Super Mario Brothers movie from the late 80s was a masterpiece of trash?
It's a masterpiece, but not in a good way.
They tried to do Blade Runner, but no, didn't happen.
God,
anyways,
yeah.
Yeah, I like how crazy Jim Carrey is. I feel for Jim Carrey. I love him so much. I think it would be a nightmare to be around, but he literally used to be the Juice Man and all these other characters on Living in Color. And eventually he started with the Truman Show, and then Man on the Moon.
Yep.
And then Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. And he was great. He was great Andy Kaufman in Man on the Moon. He was a great... I don't want to go to other movies too much, but, you know, Jim Carrey is quite a character. He's not just a random actor. Yeah. And I think it's crucial to think that this movie and Man on the Moon, and to an extent Eternal Sunshine, he recognizes that these movies broke his vision of the world as he was preparing for them and working on them.
You think so?
He says so.
Really?
Yeah. Jim Carrey in his spiritual journey, there's a documentary about this. He, after not doing anything for 10 years, he worked on a documentary. It is on Netflix it's called Jim and Andy. It's just him explaining how getting ready for interpreting Andy Kaufman, this comedian from the 60s and the 70s that was ambiguous. He didn't see it as comedy. It was just disrupting the role of entertainment society. How trying to interpret him broke his vision of the world and made him understand. Like, Jim Carrey now goes, at some point it was just a huge rant on Twitter that he handed with, like, and now I'm just trying to cope, to deal with the fact that I don't exist and I still go through life every day. And that is, you know,
wow.
that is not, whatever you think of that, that is a guy who was going like literally, hey, like that every day. And it was like, my existence is void and I am the void. Hence, I must. Like, that is quite the change that it started with the Truman Show. It started with like Jim Carrey seeing... partially my guess, but partially you go through these documentaries and you go like, how much this kind of movie, how much the preparation to interpret this role made Jim Carrey reflect about how our society, and, you know, I don't think it's the same, of course, but...
It's very different.
Yeah, it is very different, but it certainly ingrained something in his brain.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening. Like, because when you take on a character, you have to really get that mindset in your brain. And, you know, I wouldn't doubt that Jim Carrey, like, really went deep.
He does not break off of character. When he prepared for Man on the Moon, when he prepared, like, he just goes 100% into it. And he was behaving with everybody outside of the stage and the set as if he was Truman, as if he was Andy Kaufman. And you know...
Not enough credit is given to Jim Carrey.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
At least he's totally insane. And he has been very good. He's a guy who went from incredible physical comedy skills to a Steve Martin level, to an Eddie Murphy level,
Yeah.
to doing something much different from what he did, and he did it great. Eternal Sunshine, so good.
Yeah. It takes a special actor to do comedy. Like, a lot of people can do like dramatic roles, but
True.
it takes a very specific skill set to do a comedy movie. And for a lot of comedians, a lot of them transition to be dramatic actors because they have the ability
Then they're great.
to do that.
Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Like
fantastic.
in that creepy movie, Foxtrot. What was it? Fox something.
Foxcatcher.
Foxcatcher is
Yeah.
like Foxtrot.
Foxtrot. Alpha. Omega.
Yeah. They're usually like, and Little Miss Sunshine with Steve Carell. But yeah, that's true. When Robin Williams, the director of The Truman Show, is the same director of, what is the English title? The Dead Poets Society?
Yeah, which is another favorite film of mine.
It is?
Peter Weir is the director
Yeah.
of Truman Show. And
So he directed another comedic actor that transitioned into a serious
Right.
dramatic role.
yeah, that same with Robin Williams. That was
Yeah.
his first dramatic role,
Uh-huh.
and that elevated his career to a whole nother level.
So maybe it's this guy. It's the director that can guide exceptional comedic talents too. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Hey,
But
Peter, if you're listening, props to you,
he
man.
didn't do much else after that,
No.
right? He didn't do much. I don't
And-
think he did anything.
You know, that's not a bad thing. I mean, at a point, you get like creatively bankrupt, and it's like, do you want to do like another movie? It's
I don't
like,
think that exists. Do you
Really?
think creative bankruptcy exists?
It-
You're done?
It depends. Because like, take for instance, Quentin Tarantino. He's like, I'm only gonna do 9 movies. It's like,
Sure.
okay. It's like, why? He's like, well, you know, I run out of ideas. You know, think about it. Like, I'm generating ideas for decades and decades and decades. I'm gonna run out, and it's not gonna be good anymore.
You know what?
like,
I have recently been watching, like, my husband is, I tell this to everybody. He lived in Japan for 10 years. He's very fond of the Japanese culture, of course.
Where in Japan?
Osaka. But
Nice.
mostly. But he did that, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna show you some movies. And we watched like Pink movies, which are the stuff that Tarantino likes from Japan. And I
Yeah.
watched those. I'm like, oh, this is Kill Bill. Just literally,
Oh yeah.
this is Kill Bill. So I'm like, huh.
Like visually, you know, like
Even
he
plot-wise.
he makes great movies, but he definitely lifts
Oh, yeah.
material.
Yeah, if we're being generous, because after watching those movies, I mean, it's just like, he literally took the framing, the sequence,
Oh yeah, you could do side by
the
side.
song. Yeah,
Mhm.
you could do side by side. I did not know that. And I was just like, huh, let's call this a homage. Yeah. You know, it's fine. We all
Mhm.
generate ideas, taking inspiration from other work. But I used to get really excited when I was a teenager, but like I was in line to see Kill Bill Volume 2,
Yeah.
the first human being in my city, and I'm like, okay, I see you,
Hey,
Quentin.
it's not stealing. It's
Sure.
attributing.
Yeah,
Hey,
attributing.
we're
Yeah.
artists. Remember
Yeah,
that.
sure, exactly.
We don't
When you
steal.
go over 40%, it becomes a matter of legal teams, I think. But
Hey,
yeah,
that's called a reboot, a reimagining, if you will.
right. The reboot of the Truman Show with Will Smith. I don't know.
So
Like the
let's
Matrix.
talk about the outside world of the Truman Show. So there's a few lines of dialogue which are very interesting, and you can extrapolate a lot from them. So, first of all, the narrator of the movie, the narrator of the Truman Show, says, "This is the largest set in
Right.
the world." And I really looked at it because there's a shot of it's panning out from the dome.
You know where that is?
I'll get into that. So it's situated behind the Hollywood sign. It's like, okay, you don't really see the scale yet until it goes into like space view. And the size of the dome, if you really measure it out, it's 10 miles. It's a 10-mile megastructure. And it's situated on Burbank.
That's
The in-
interesting.
The entire city of Burbank has been taken out, and Burbank lives on in Truman's name because his last name is Burbank.
I'm so glad that I didn't burn this for you.
No, it's okay.
You were building to it so much. Yes, Truman Burbank. You're right.
Yes. Like, you really don't notice it. It's like such a subtle detail, but it's like there's so much to say. It's like would the city of Burbank be willing to give away all of its real estate for a television show? And it's like, what does that do for the Los Angeles economy to have this giant facility? I assume it makes a lot of jobs because you're fabricating an entire town for a 24-hour TV show. So it makes you think, like, they used the term largest movie set, which means, are there bigger structures? Who makes all these things? Like, this is one of the largest, like, if it happened today, it'd be one of the largest human-made structures in human history.
Right.
Other than the Great Wall of China.
If you wrap it around, it could be the the walls of that. No.
Right.
I don't know. I never thought it from the Martian point of view of colonizing or alien. But it does raise a few interesting questions as for the I don't know, let's dive into the economics of that.
Yeah.
It's a 30-year long show.
Yeah.
So you need to distribute the price of that over 30 years.
And when it started, so let's say 30 years from 1998.
Sure.
So it happened at 1968.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So what was on TV? Leave It to Beaver, I Love Lucy.
Yeah, so we see color footage of that, but we really should see very low resolution of it. Like in the beginning of the movie, we see like Truman archival footage as a kid. But here is when the economics start to make sense. Christoph has been trying to have Truman have a child for very long, and the characters in his life push him to have this kid.
The first on-screen conception. That's what Christoph wants.
And it would be a spin-off. There was a planned spin-off. So,
wow, okay.
In that case, you have two shows, and they start to think like that could become a family thing. They could become like literally a parallel world. That is what they hint in the movie. So at that point, you can optimize and the cost of this mega structure over potentially 100 years. You go through generations. And so that's when it starts to make more sense financially, and everything is monetized in the show. We see shots of ladies in England sitting and like keep holding hands with each other that have a pillow with Truman's face on it. We see people in Japan, they're following the show and have all the kind of memorabilia around them in Japan. So this is a world phenomenon that is sold every minute of the day. So much that in one of the cut scenes that you can find in the DVD, get the DVD. That you could find in the DVD. I remember that there was this scene that was just this commercial of what you could buy.
Yeah.
Out of the Truman Show, and it was just this narrator that went through the catalog, and it was just an IKEA shot of like the Truman house, and he goes like, "This cup is only $9.99 on the Truman catalog. Order now at 800-555-5555." And they were like, item number 234, and then they moved on to lamp, like item 235. This wonderful lamp could just blah 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 99.
See, I'm disappointed they cut that out, but also it's almost not needed because throughout the entire movie there are so many instances of commercialism.
That's true.
Like you said before, great beer. You know, that lawnmower, we should really get this model of lawnmower directly at the camera. Like,
that's weird, right? It is weird. It makes you notice like, oh yeah, I see this on
see what's happening.
NBC's soap operas.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like I never watched TV, but I did the other day. Like for some reason, after 2 years, like I turned it on and like a soap opera was on, and they're just like shamelessly talking about this cereal, like box.
I love Lucky Charms cereal.
Yeah, like well placed there, and I'm like, dude, that's sure that's partially how the world can finance better productions. I am very grateful that we have some advertising.
Like, I don't mind being advertised to. I really don't. It's like, if there's like a good food that you want me to eat, sure, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, but it's when it's annoying, when it's like so invasive. In like Truman's life, it's like his entire world is one giant commercial.
That's right. And it's a giant commercial for you. You are the consumer.
Yeah.
Everything is commodified. Paradoxically, like, you know, the only commercials that Truman watches and sees are the ones for the people outside. They're not really trying to advertise anything to him. He's almost advertising free compared to the people who watch the show. If you look, well, the Utopia city, if you look at it, there is no big billboards in it. There's only tiny posters where he gets pinned by two weird twins that work in insurance when he turns the corner.
Yeah.
And they show like I don't know, a chicken, buy this chicken brand or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he has no ads mostly, except the ones needed for the people outside. I wonder if he can buy those products. Like
maybe. So let's go back to the megastructure, because I have one more point.
Sure.
So Burbank,
Yes.
in World War II, was the site for Lockheed, and Lockheed was responsible for creating experimental aircraft for the war efforts against, you know, the Axis powers in Europe.
No idea.
So, you know, back to our previous point of like, how could they justify getting rid of an entire city of Burbank? So, join me, if you will, into, you know, the rabbit hole.
I'm here.
What if in this alternate reality, Burbank was destroyed in the war? So the real estate was completely gone, and they built a dome on top of the ruins of Burbank, because it could have been possible that the Japanese powers would have sent a missile or destroyed the city in some way, shape, or
Yes,
form.
and what if it happened to other cities too?
Yeah, because the whole world seems very Orwellian, dystopic.
Wow.
Like who else would fund this giant propaganda piece for an ideal American town than the government? Like, who has the funding?
Wow, dude, you're going into conspiracies a lot.
Yeah, here we go. Tinfoil hat is secured on my head.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm following. I'm doing my best.
Because think about it. It's like the ideal perfect town of like 1950s America, white picket fence, like, oh, my wife is making me dinner today. Let me go to work as an insurance salesman. Like, it's this picture perfect view of American life. And when Truman is like, I want to go out and this and that, and his mother is like, why would you want to go outside of the town and be like the rest of America? Insinuating that the rest of America is not in a good state.
Not safe. Yeah. When we see the travel, we go back to the fear concept, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poster of the plane and the travel agency of a lightning bolt hitting it.
I can play this game if you want, of the authoritarian dystopia outside of the dome of Truman, if we want. Although, as a side note, before we decide to go deep into that, the way I saw it was more like advertisers gone rogue, like gone wild.
Yeah.
Life of, like, that's how it happened. I saw it more like an exponential development of a product
Kinda
to the
like,
use of everybody else.
Kind of like Demolition Man, if you've seen that movie.
I have not.
So it depicts a future where corporations are in control, like they are the governments. So you have like
Right.
Taco Bell or Pizza Hut everywhere, and like
Yeah.
Taco Bell is like
That is more like
in
the
charge.
it could have been like the, now it doesn't exist anymore, so I can say the 20th Century Fox City. Now it's just 20th Century? I don't
Studios.
know. Studios. So
Yeah.
20th Century Studios. Yeah. So it would have been more like, what if? What if? There is this recurring theme of, Steve Jobs especially had it. What if Apple ran a town? There is this like corporate fantasy world. What if Apple built a city? What if Google built a city? Which is happening in Canada, in Toronto.
Wait, really?
There is an idea for a smart city, which is on the Toronto, shore, like the near the water. There is a whole area which is being built with sensors and optimized by like algorithmic changes for
Really?
traffic, for managing like site, everything, trash, all of that.
A
It is
real life
subs-
Truman Show.
Yeah, you were in this case. You were not selling your experience to other people watching the experience. We're selling the optimization of your personal experience to the greater good. But yes, to some extent, it's like, it answers the same question that are asking. It's like, what if a corporate, or this movie that I've not seen that you mentioned, Demolition Man?
Yeah.
What if a for-profit corporation would run a city, a limited environment where people can live? And we can also partially see that. I had a chance to visit in the past, like Facebook headquarters, and it feels a bit like that. They have their own situation with like everything is free. There is all free restaurants. There is free barbershop. There is the dentist, and it's all in between the buildings of this company.
Yeah.
So, and there is a free arcade. Like when I was inside, like when I visited Facebook, like there's a free arcade. Like you go there and there's tons of machines just for fun to go during lunch. So, what if Truman definitely is a take on that idea, on the corporate town, on the corporate situation.
That's a more realistic outlook for the future than, I would say, the jackboot Orwellian.
The city got destroyed, and
it's more of
the government wanted to fund. I don't.
Brave New World, where your pleasures ultimately control you, like your comforts. Like, why change anything if everything is given to me?
And if I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So that is the battle that Truman ultimately fights. Everything is perfect except it is not, because I did not decide to determine this future and this being for myself. I was imposed this. Right. So do I trade comfort for free will? And
that's what he chooses.
That's a big spoiler. I'm kidding.
Well, I mean,
inevitably so.
That's the progression of his character.
That's the hero, right?
Yeah. Like, he has the call to adventure. He refuses it at first, and then he pursues it to the point where, it threatens his life and his well-being. And I think in life, that's where character truly comes. Like, outside of a narrative, like, character comes out of adversity. Like, it doesn't come from getting everything you wanted.
That's what it is. Adversity.
Yeah.
It's not just the call to, it's not just the adventure, but overcoming the obstacles and adversity. That's the key out to the hero journey.
Yep. Coming
back home is coming Ithaca. I don't know. How do you call the
homecoming?
No. Ithaca is the island where Ulysses.
Are you doing ancient Greek on me now?
I'm struggling with English translations.
The Iliad?
Sì, l'Iliade, esatto.
Okay.
Yeah, but that is the same thing. The journey is overcoming the obstacles to come home to yourself, and home is not necessarily. Can be a physical place, but it's yourself, and that's what Truman does. It can be. For me or for you, it can be different. It's for some people, it's a struggle in health. For some people, it's a struggle in economy. For some, it's fighting off the insecurity that they have about something else. But when you overcome that, to Truman is overcoming the fear of leaving home, going to Fiji, finding love, and finally breaking through that fourth wall that has been built for him, the way that he has been made grow up into something. And once he overcomes that obstacle, we don't need to know what's outside. He already came home to himself. He decided at least to get on board with the journey. Yeah. And if he doesn't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
And then he bows.
Exit
stage left.
All right. So I think it's just, it's a funny movie. I'm making it sound more than it. It's funny. Jim Carrey goes insane.
So to close the show, we like to do one good reason. So if you were to give someone one reason to watch this movie, what would it be?
I like to see Jim Carrey go around in a car in a roundabout about 20 times and going like, "Someone help me! I'm being spontaneous." That is the best part for me.
Yeah.
Just watch it to see Jim Carrey go on a roundabout 20 times with his wife screaming in the car. Fake wife.
His fake wife. Oh my god. Yeah, that was a fantastic scene.
Traffic appears and disappears in a matter of seconds when he goes in and out of the roundabout. He was like, there was traffic, now there is not.
The point in the movie where he's completely cracked and
Yes.
it's like, this isn't real.
Watch Jim Carrey go on and on and on in a roundabout.
Well,
Truman Show.
for me, the one reason, which is what we've been espousing for the past podcast, which is the spiritual journey, it makes you really reevaluate your life. And it's like, okay, what part of my life needs to change?
Before I drive around in a roundabout 20 times.
Yeah. Even though that's fun and I love doing donuts and eating donuts.
Oh, that's how you call it?
Yeah,
doing the donut?
Yeah, we driving around in a circle, it makes a donut.
Yeah, he has about 20 donuts in that box.
Oh yeah. More than a baker's dozen. So that would be my reason. But that's it for this time on Syndicate. We've been talking about The Truman Show by Peter Weir. Please check it out where it is available. Thank you for coming on, Simone. And where can they reach you?
Thank you for having me on the show. You can reach me at 2343.org. 2343.
That's right.
.org.
Go watch The Truman Show and check out Simone on all his great conversations he has with people that are much smarter than me.
And me. Thank you, everyone.
That's it for this time on The Syndicate. We hope you enjoyed yourself. Keep the conversation going by adding us on Instagram and Letterboxd, where you can catch Armand along other podcasters and listeners at Syndicate. And until next time, stop that scroll and spend more time watching. Goodbye.